So, welcome everyone, good morning, and welcome to the Scranton County Board of Commissioner meeting. Today's Thursday, it's June 5th, 2025, 10 in the morning. It's a regular board session, and we'll begin with the Pledge of Allegiance. Pledge allegiance to the flag
of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Commissioner Frankert will lead us in prayer.
Please pray with me. Dear Heavenly Father, please lend your guidance upon us as we work for our constituents here in the county, and lend your guidance as we make the best decisions we can for our here in Seneca County. In your name we pray. Amen.
Amen. Thank you. Roll call, please.
Commissioner Paradiso,
Here.
Commissioner Frankert,
Here.
Commissioner Bustecker.
Here. So at this time, I'll accept a motion to approve the digital audio recording of our previous board session on Thursday, May 29th, 2025.
I'll make the motion.
I'll second.
Okay, roll call?
Commissioner Bustecker.
Yes.
Commissioner Frankert,
Yes.
Commissioner Paradiso.
Yes.
I don't think Tony, because he
I was
was
absent.
He was
Yeah, he was
absent, so
absent.
he can't vote.
I abstain. Minutes approved. Thank you. That was pretty good. That was really good. Okay, so first on our agenda, we have a representative and some people here supporting this cause for the Coalition of Concerned Voters of Ohio. And Tim, I'm not going to try your last name, but welcome, and please state your name for us.
Steckschulte, Tim Steckschulte.
Tim Steckschulte. Thank you. The floor is yours.
Okay.
Yes,
All
sir.
all right. Tip a little bit.
Good. Tom, we got that working just for you. We got that working for you, buddy. For the guys. Well, it's crazy because they can't see. So thank you for fixing that. Yeah.
Well,
Go ahead.
Thank you for the opportunity to present to the commissioners, and yeah, I know we got kind of a short time frame here. I could spend 2 hours, but I was told to narrow it down to about 20 minutes, so I've got plenty of slides, but I'm gonna really buzz through them really quick, because I think, there's nothing I want to delete from this, because it's all important, but I won't park on them too long. But I'll be around, for as long as needed afterwards, Q&A or individually or whatever we need to do. But our mission for 2 years now, we started off innocently enough just to look at the vulnerabilities that we found in electronic voting machines. And it wasn't a mission to say, hey, we found fraud, we found, all this vote was changed. We didn't do any of that. We just saw the vulnerabilities in other states, and we know that we have those same machines here in Ohio. So we started reaching out to different officials, government officials mostly, BOEs, some commissioners, reps and senators, Secretary of State. I'll go into that, but it was kind of alarming. So, just real briefly, our team, I'm one of the co-directors. Tom Howard also is from Springfield, Ohio. We've heard that name in the news for a while. He's an analyst, Air Force retired. So this is kind of the one team that we've got now. We've got a grassroots of people that support us, that we're involved with, that share our same mission, and we represent them across Ohio. Clay Parikh is a certified ethical hacker from Alabama. He's on our team as well for kind of a consultant. He's done some heavyweight trials, the Kerry Lake trial, Tina Peters trial, and so he was a subject matter expert. Tom Connors is our attorney from the Cleveland area, helping us. Mark Paquitas on our strategy team, and we actually had Judicial Watch reach out to us a couple weeks ago and is interested in what we're putting together here, so we sent them the same information. But again, it's really basic. We're just expose, enlighten, make people aware of the vulnerabilities so they can make a guided decision. And we strongly purport to remove the voting machines. We don't see any other way around it. Go back to the tried and true method of hand-counted paper ballots, and that is our twofold mission, very, very plain and simple. I'll explain a little bit about us, but I will tackle some of the things. The lack of transparency is what we call it. It's pretty alarming, actually, when you dig into it. We'll talk a little bit about the gold standard. I think everybody's heard that Ohio sets the standard for Ohio and even the nation in regards to election integrity. And we've got some documents that might make you rethink that. And we'll talk about going from machine to paper. And I actually pulled some of the expenditures from your county and put it together to maybe make some more sense. But a lot of the things that we're looking at here, and this one I have to touch on, this is really what got us going 2 years ago, Mesa County, Colorado. And if you look at the middle screen, everything highlighted, that is on the EMS server, not on the voting machine. And those were vulnerabilities that they found in a forensic audit in Mesa County, Colorado. And if you notice, it talks about unauthorized software creating a back door. The second one's audit logs. They created new databases. And the last one, the multiple wireless modems were found. Now, this is a Dominion voting machine, not what you have in Seneca, but they're all electronic voting machines. So I'm not saying Dominion's any worse than the other ones. They all have the same vulnerabilities. So that's what's got us going there. It was so damning that they actually, CISA, the cybersecurity agency, issued a security alert. So then what we did based on that,
It takes it a minute to go on TVs.
oh boy. So we sent out an email to the Board of Voting Machine Examiners in Ohio that's supposed to be in charge of overseeing the voting machines and asked him that question. We showed him what was in the other states, what they found in that, and the response is on the right. We heard nothing, absolutely nothing. Multiple phone calls, emails, would not return a phone call. So it makes you wonder, why wouldn't you at least address this? And that's really what they're for, is to safeguard Ohio's voting systems. So then we sent out a lengthy document to the 12 counties in Ohio. One of mine is Wood County. And just asking them, what have you done about these security concerns? One of the requests that we asked was, would you have Governor DeWine activate the Ohio Cyber Reserve? Just to look at the forensic audits of our machines in Ohio. Again, we're not saying that they found a problem, but if they did in other states, how do we know it's not happening here? So it's called the Cyber Reserve, and it's actually in place in Ohio, volunteers, and that's what they do. That's part of their job and their mission is cybersecurity up to and including election systems. So we're just saying, they're already there, they're volunteers, could you please have them look at the machines? And they refuse to do that. And you'd have to ask yourself, why would they do that? And then there is the responses that we got from the 12 counties to our letter and our concerns. Now, Wayne and Adams did respond, but it was a very cursory, we trust the voting machine vendor. They said they're gonna fix it, or they can do a software patch, so we're sure they're taking care of it. So they really didn't have any gumption to take a look at it, or at least give credence to this. We were then approached by GFI to be a base signer on a document that we sent to Frank LaRose, Secretary of State, basically just asking him to do his job. There was a lot of shortfalls there, also on the voter registration issues. There was a lot of things that were not being accomplished. We were then approached by, it's called United Sovereign America, USA, and we're listed as the lead petitioner in that, and they're out of Pennsylvania, and they heard what projects we were working on, so they reached out to us, and we sent them about 10 documents, about 100 pages, showing some of the anomalies that we found, some of the resistance. And this is a writ of mandamus lawsuit, which means it's just a suit to force people to do their jobs. So again, it's not calling out, here's the issues we found specifically, here's what caused voting issues. It's just, please do your job. Oh, did I go too?
Yep.
Probably did. Well, that is slow, isn't it?
It's very slow for some reason today. You might be losing connection. There we go.
Oh, boy.
Patience.
Okay, there we go.
There you go.
Okay, so this is probably the big eye-opener of the day. I approached Secretary of State LaRose in person in Bowling Green. We had also sent him the same documents, and I took a hard copy with me. And our one, we had like 8 to 12 questions that we wanted to ask them in the letter. We pretty much ended up zeroing in on the wireless modems. I think you've all probably heard it's against the law in Ohio to have a voting machine that can connect to the internet or be capable of connecting. So I wasn't going to push that issue. He brought it up, and I said, well, could you, where do we find, how are you testing for them, the methodology to test for them, how many machines are tested, where are they sent? We had a series of questions, very technical questions. And surprisingly, he put me in touch with their Public Integrity Division, and we started drafting emails back and forth. That was in March of 2024. We now have 28 pages of email correspondence back and forth, not answering our question. So we have just requested, again, we're not saying any fraud occurred in Ohio. We are saying, how are you making sure our voting machines in Ohio do not have internet capability? Right now, after about a year, they said we are going to officially deny your public records request and not show you the documents pertaining to that, and that is based on public security. So in other words, even the Secretary of State technically doesn't have access to this, to the proprietary software and the code in the machines. So, but they're saying that because of security reasons, we don't want to give you that. So we have our lawyer who is still working on that. He thinks there's case precedent that they should provide it and have done in other instances. But again, just the fact that they're not willing to share that with us is alarming in itself. So what do we do next? So we said, okay, let's get involved. They reached out to us, a legislative team out of Columbus, and asked us to draft a language for House Bill 472 last year. And all that was, and all it is just we wanted it in the Ohio Revised Code to give each county, if they so choose, to go back to hand-counted, hand-marked paper ballots. It wasn't mandated, it wasn't forced. No BOE, county commissioner would have to do it if they don't want to. Do your feasibility study, take a look at it, see what you think, if it makes sense. And that hit a stone wall. Both the Democrats and Republicans wanted nothing to do with it. And you ask yourself again, why not give, the citizens represented here, why not give them a say in this? When these machines were adopted with Ohio Revised Code 350602, that's the language that adopts the current voting machines. And that can be adopted by 3 ways. The Board of Elections, the county commissioners working with the Board of Elections, or 2% of the people. So the commissioners didn't have a say in the first one, or the citizens, we the people, and we didn't have a say in the second one. So it was just the Board of Elections had made that decision to go with those. So we launched a website. We're not behind the scenes anymore. Before this, we were just doing, research, working through channels, trying to get things accomplished. And we said, well, we'll go public, and we're showing everything on our website. We've just updated it. And we even put the 28 pages of email back and forth, not answering a question. And if you want to, you know, if you're bored and you want to read 28 pages, it's really a work of art to see how you can get 28 pages of saying no. It's really a masterpiece. So I want to touch real quickly on the voting vulnerabilities. I won't spend much time here. But before I do that, this is a Rasmussen 2021 poll. And if you look at the red box, red arrows there, what that's saying is 32% of the voters, and that's every voter, party or affiliation of all. And what that states is 32% does not think there was any form of cheating that happened. Well, that means that almost 70%, 7 out of 10 people in the 2020 election thought some form of cheating took place. So this is what's going on. I know a lot of boards of elections and commissioners think, well, nobody's complaining. I don't hear anybody complaining about it. But the problem is they get shot down if they approach the BOE or anybody saying we're concerned about it. You're labeled as conspiracy theorist and, you know, MAGA supporters and tinfoil hat people. So they don't say anything. But that's an alarming stat, and that's a 21. I would, because of the new lawsuits that came out, I would venture to say it has to be worse now in 2024. So, but that's just that's a marker right there to think about. Okay. Okay. The other slide, I'll let that one pass, but basically Ohio has 3 main blocks of voting equipment. And one is the DRE machine, which is my county and 11 others, where you never touch the ballot, mark it on the screen, it goes into a paper audit trail. It's contained in like a credit card, if you will. So you never touch the ballot. That is actually against HAVA rules, and I can talk about that later. What you have here in Seneca is called a BMD, or ballot marking device, and that is you touch on the screen, it comes out, it prints onto the different pieces of paper. You then insert that into an optical scanner. DS200 is your model for that. And then the last bucket is similar to this gentleman's county here, where they actually hand mark the ballot. So there's 48 of Ohio's 88 counties where they mark the ballot by hand, but then what do they do with it? They put it into a black box that has proprietary software that cannot be inspected. So it's one step closer, but you're still putting it into an optical scanner that is known to have some issues. I put this slide up here because I'm not going to go into it, but this is to show you the complexity of the voting system in Ohio. And if you think about what we're trying to accomplish, when you go in, you walk in to vote, you're going to vote like you just did in May. You're going to vote on maybe 2 levies and maybe a local race or whatever. But the whole goal of voting is you mark what the voter wants, it gets added up or tabulated. Same thing, it's added. You're marking what you want, it's being added. Do we really need all of this to accomplish that? You know, and therein lies the problem, and the cost, I should say. So Georgia just had, this is an ongoing trial, been ongoing for almost 4 years. Nobody wants to touch it. It got taken off and sealed for a couple of years. And just recently it went back on, and Alex Halderman, this is also a Dominion machine, again, not picking on them. But they can all have issues and have found to have issues. He actually went into the Georgia courtroom and hacked the machine live in the courtroom using a pen. He went around to the back of the machine. It bypassed all the password screens. It bypassed the security. It went right in. He was able to manipulate the programming of the vote. And curiously, he didn't break any of the tamper seals, tape, or security devices to protect the machine. So this is, again, not saying there was any case or any race that was affected by it, but if this is what the machine is capable of, you have to ask. And then if we're not giving the documentation to prove that it doesn't have that, it's very puzzling. So again, so the two machine types, the BMD and the ICX. So if anybody can read either one of those and tell me how your vote was cast or who you voted for, that would be an amazing feat. But that's what you're having right there. In my county, it's the top one, the QR code. I can't read a QR code. It prints it off in a ballot, and I can see human readable print of what I voted for. But when that goes into its tabulation equipment, it's not reading the human readable print that I voted for. It's reading the QR code. And yours is reading the barcode in Seneca County. So again, this does violate HAVA, which says HAVA's Help America Vote Act, a federal act, and what that states is every citizen voting should be able to audit their own ballot. So I can look at the human readable print, but that's not what's being tabulated. So that in itself is another problem. This is the ES&S is what you have here, and this was a modem chip, Telluride modem chip on the right side there. That was found embedded in the motherboard. And that picture looks deceiving. It looks like it'd be about the size of a card, maybe playing card. It's probably close to a dime. You can see part of a finger there on the other side of it. But these things, wireless modems can now be as small as a grain of rice, and that's all it needs to be. But this was a hard to find modem. They had to pry off some of the piece of equipment to get to it. And curiously enough, ES&S, which is again your supplier and what you use, they sell voting machines with and without wireless modems. They sell both brands, but we have no way of knowing which ones you have here, nor does anybody. And, again, we've not been given the public records request to dig into this deeper. Here's another vulnerability real quick, and it is just a SIM card. There was another one, and there's your DS200 tabulator there. This happened in Pennsylvania. The other one I just showed, that was in Antrim County, Michigan. I think you might, if anybody was paying attention to 2020, I don't know if you remember the case where it flipped 6,000 votes from Trump to Biden. It was an exact flip. And that was on the ES&S, and that's the one that had the motherboard issue. They corrected it, of course, when they found out, look, we're a totally red county, that we usually vote 90% Republican, and it ended up being 10%. So that was the tip there. Judge's race in Pennsylvania, that one was actually flipping the votes. You were voting for Judge A. When it printed it off, it gave you Judge B. It was so bad, so many people went up, there was a news story article on it, so many people went up and complained that the precinct officials started telling people we're having a glitch with the computer, please vote for the opposite of who you really want. And there's been multiple lawsuits on that. So, and this is why people, when they hear this, we're having a glitch, please vote for the opposite, is how can you trust that system? Another real recent event, so you were told this last election to not use your no-ink e-poll books. The Board of Election polled them, Secretary of State, they found some issues. There's actually found another gal that's helping us in Miami County, actually seems to be the one that exposed it, and it was actually reported by Perry County, a different county, and they said they had some discrepancies, and I won't go into it, but it was rated as a high CVSS 10 security rating, which is very high. I'm not familiar with CVSS, but that's what they rated it. So Secretary of State pulled that out, said we're going to go back to the paper rolls that you vote on. So that's all in good, but the other thing is this e-poll book it's a Wi-Fi hotspot. So when they say the machines aren't connected to the internet, they could be true. It could be true by the sheer definition of internet. If it's a Wi-Fi hotspot, that connects to the cellular modem or cellular network. That connects directly to the internet. So, but the problem that's got a Wi-Fi hotspot in it means it could speak to other items. And then, I'm not gonna go into these are the 5 pillars of what Ohio Secretary of State's, why we can trust our elections, but we've proceeded on our website to dispel every one of those 5 with documents and with information that's pretty alarming. The Stark County Commissioners a couple of years ago actually sided with the people and said, we do not want to buy the new rounds of voting machines. And they did some work onto that. It actually, the Board of Elections ended up suing Stark County Commissioners to force them to buy the Dominion voting machines. They were not happy about it, but it's a very odd case. It went into the Supreme Court of Ohio, and the Supreme Court decided that you'll have to listen to the Board of Election and go with the machines they want. But the commissioners did their job in that county. They actually said, could you give us, an apples to apples? Because they just asked for, let's get a second quote. Maybe it's higher, maybe it's lower, but what's the benefit of A versus B? And they were not given that information at all. It was just, these are the ones we want. Or if they were giving it to them, it was the day that they voted. We feel now, there's a perfect storm right now of looking to go back to hand-counted, hand-marked paper ballots. A lot of people want to focus on the cost. I don't. I want to focus on that slide we had before where 70% don't trust the system. I know people personally that don't vote anymore. I know people that don't contribute to good candidates. They say, why bother? It's a selection, not an election. So that's very concerning to me and to many other people, obviously, in this room that's supporting this move. But I don't care if it costs twice as much to hand count, by the way, it doesn't. Paper ballots, that should be, if that's what the people want, that's what they should get. But by the way, it is extremely inexpensive. There's a unanimous, the RNC over a year ago, 168 members of the National RNC put out a resolution. They all voted for it to return to paper ballots, hand counted, hand marked, if the county chooses to do so. That was their preference. We just had President Trump's executive order that affected your county as well as the 40 other counties in Ohio that use either the ICX or the BMD machines, the one that puts it onto a barcode or the QR code. And the reason is because what I talked about earlier, because President Trump's executive order states a machine will not be federally certified if the vote is contained in the QR code or the barcode. So your county will be affected by that. Now you could choose to go ahead and the BOE could say we're going to keep them, which means you're no longer federally certified. You're using equipment that's not federally certified. And you could say, okay, but Ohio is stringent. We'll use Ohio's inspections. Again, they're not giving us the information, and we have had to get a lawyer to do it, and he's still fighting for us to get this public records request. So the executive order, I think why we're here today, and this group's here, is we just wanted to present this evidence to you because you control the purse strings and what's being spent. And we don't want somebody to do a knee-jerk reaction that, well, these machines aren't going to work, let's buy new ones that might. My real concern is Trump's executive order did not affect the optical scanners like that's in your county or any of these other electronic devices. So you could be putting good money after bad if you continue to buy the machines, and maybe another year from now, Trump's going to say the optical scanners now need to be removed, or the new type of machines that we're trying to get may not qualify. And if you don't want the federal certification, that could mean that you would not get maybe HAVA funds in the future. So you'd be on the hook for all the money if you're not federally certified. So that's a big thing to think about there. The high cost of machines, and then we just had 2 months ago, whatever, the e-poll book situation, so that's just another, nail in the coffin as far as I'm concerned, but. And then this is some excerpts from your County Commissioners Association handbook. And basically it's just talking about, because you guys hold the purse strings, keep in mind the needs and desires of the people, do the due diligence. It also has got language in there that if you can show that the request is unreasonable and unnecessary, you could step in to try and save money, try and do the right thing, and then also get a more secure voting system here. And even in section 124, it talks about they realize it's burdensome to counties. I got to share this at this point. I think it'll blow your mind. We're working closely with Monroe County, which is right across from Wheeling, West Virginia, second smallest county in Ohio. And we just did a feasibility study for them. And what we did is took the machine cost that we can prove. We think it's higher than that, but we took the machine cost and divided that by the number of people that voted in that county. And what it came out to was $63.60 to process every ballot. $63 to take one ballot and basically add it. So now that's a way far extreme, obviously, but that just shows you some of the craziness of this. There's Trump's executive order that we talked about. There's that paper hand-counted resolution from the RNC. And if you can see at the very bottom there, those are some of the larger nations that currently use hand-counted, hand-marked ballots. They're all done day of. They have the election results that night, just like I remember when I was younger. I never remember a problem in New York, California, Los Angeles. Every state had it in that night. So it's totally, we've done it for 150 years. But these people have been awakened and have switched back over. And I don't know if you're following the news at all, but South Korea just had their election stolen on Tuesday. That has been a big focus. The CCP is infiltrated, and they've got their conservative people lost, and it's based on registration and voting machine issues. One thing that we always hear and what we find when we're talking to people, when you say, we can't go back to paper, hand counting's not going to work. These are what we always hear, and we call them 5 lies. We're being very blunt on that, but we could be a little bit less blunt and say 5 anomalies or 5 disagreements we have. But on their face, we can just speak to each one of them. But that's what we always hear. No matter who you talk to, you can't go back to paper. Can't find people to work the polls. People would come out of the woodwork. We had 300 people sign that petition in Monroe County. We had 89 people volunteer to hand count at no charge. No charge. They were denied to do that. And we just wanted to do a feasibility study. We'll show you how long it's going to take. People will work the polls. I've talked to other people that have worked the polls that aren't working them anymore because of the confusion with the voting machines and some of the other issues that they'll have. And I think maybe Brenda could probably talk better because they just worked the polls, she said, on that. It'll cost too much. That is absolutely not true. It will take too long, same thing, and it's not accurate. The point where it's, people, it's not accurate. If you think about it, like you mentioned, your county does 15%. Every county in Ohio does at least a 5%, except for 2 counties, I should say, post-election audit. So when you're done with the election, 86 of the 88 counties do at least, if not more, 5% hand-counted ballots. And that is done to certify the election. They're using hand-counted ballots as the gold standard. So that's how you always do it. If you want to do a gold standard, it's hand counting, it's not machine count. And that's used to certify it. So if it's not accurate, why is the Board of Election, the Secretary of State, using that to certify every election at the end? We're almost done here. Oh, this is one. So here's some Seneca County numbers for you. The top line, if you look at the left side, 2 columns on the left, votes cast, so in the 5 years, you had 125,891 people vote. I put a question mark by there because the number from the Board of Election shows a lot less than that, like 80 or 90,000. I'm thinking maybe they missed some primaries or something, I don't know. But for the sake that I'm not overstating our case here, I went with the higher number. So 125,000 people voted in those 5 years. I took the machine costs since 2019. You spent almost $1.4 million on machine related. That also is going to be a figure I'm not comfortable with because I'm looking at very much known machine expenditures. So if it says ES&S, software programming, I know that's machine related. If I see ES&S hardware, that's machine related. But there were so many expenses buckets that I think were machine related, but I couldn't prove it, so I didn't add those in. So those numbers is probably higher, but it would take a forensic CPA probably. Somebody would have to go and say, identify each of these expenses. If we don't have the machine, would we need that expense? That's what would have to be done. So then if I take the average machine cost per year, you're looking at 278,000. And then if I just take the machine cost to process one ballot, it's still $11 to process one ballot using the machines. I think that number is artificially low. What I've run into in the other counties I've done, usually mid-30s, $30 a ballot is what I'm seeing. I'm not saying it's wrong, I'm just saying everybody else is a lot higher, so maybe I wasn't able to capture all the true cost. Now, if you add in the total BOE expenses, so not just the machines, everything with the BOE, you're spending $28 a ballot just to process each ballot cast. So, and then there's your Monroe County. I just wanted to throw that in there, but they only had 825 people vote in the last election. And because of the machine cost, they're spending $63 a ballot just to have them processed. And then last slide, I believe, I don't know what's going on at the Secretary of State. Sorry for the small print there, but I couldn't fit it in any deeper. In 2018, the spending level was $19 million, the whole Secretary of State's budget. Look at 2025. That's our tax money right there. Now, the alarming thing, and I triple checked it, unless they've done that incorrectly at the Secretary of State, the asterisk there for 2025, $64 million was actually recorded in April. So that's a year-to-date figure. I don't know what it is now, 2 months later, but if it's, prorated at 64 million for 4 months, I mean, theoretically, it could be 3 times that number. But I put this in at the end just to show you the vast amount of money we're throwing at just to hand count. And then the last thing I'll say, and I know Brendan and I think Don wanted to maybe add on to this a little bit, but what rule of thumb, you could probably, when people say, what, hand counting, we got to hire all these other people, and then you're going to have to pay them, so it's going to cost a lot more. The answer to that is no. If you look at an average precinct size of about 1,200 people, the county should keep their precincts at 1,200. And if half the people vote on average, sometimes more, sometimes less, you might end up with 600 people voting in that election. And if you start counting at the precinct level, when you open the polls, an hour after the polls are open, let's say, a 4-person team can count easily 60 ballots per hour. So in 10 hours, that 4-person team could handle that precinct by hand counting. Now, the other thing is, right now, because of all the confusion about the machines, I know counties, Mahoning County, I spoke up to some northeast counties a couple months ago, and they literally said, we have 4 people sitting on chairs near the voting machines to have them make sure they got the right pieces of paper to put in, and don't turn it this way, don't turn it this way, make sure. Literally, they're paying 4 people to sit in chairs and tell people how to put the ballots in. Those same 4 people could be doing the hand counting. So at that point, I would say the cost to hand count would be done with the manpower you have now. So that is it. So I don't know how you want to do it, if you want them to talk next.
Yeah, sure. Let's wrap up the comments. Run with the lights, we good? Thank you. Can we get a copy of those slides?
Yes.
So that's something you email Barb?
Yeah.
Thank you.
Hello, I'm Brenda Kuhn, this is my husband Don. We worked the general election in '24. We did not do the primaries because they didn't need as many workers. But I'd like to explain some of the issues we had in our counter. This was our first time working the polls. First was the electronic pad. That was my station that I stayed at pretty much the whole day. And we did have a gal come in and, okay, the process is you have a state ID, you hand it to the person at the registration table. They have to scan it to see that you're a registered voter, so you can vote. Well, this gal came in, the electronic pad it gave us somebody else's name. And we couldn't, it was not in the system, we don't know what happened. Her name was on her state ID, we had to call Board of Elections, and they had to verify that she was a registered voter. So that was the electronic, but I know we've gotten rid of them, thank goodness. So then after that, then they, they give us our state ID, then we verify that. We hand them 2 papers. So we give them a piece of paper, and then we also give them what Don has here. He has an old thing.
It's got the barcode on it. They need that to vote. And then the ballot is a blank, long sheet of paper with the corner missing on it to show them which way it goes in.
And that was the issue with almost all day long. Don worked the people that were at the voting machines. He was there all day. He literally probably couldn't hardly sit down the whole day because of issues that we had.
Helping people vote, yeah.
So with this barcode, people were wanting to put it in the machine. So they have to scan it. So this is our barcode, you gotta scan it. They couldn't find the scanner.
The scanner's hard to find, and then you had to get it just so to get it to take.
And then also, if there was people that inserted this into the machine, where the ballot was supposed to go, and that jammed the machine and it put it down.
And then the manager would have to go get his key, open up the machine, get that paper out, so we lost 5 to 10 minutes on that machine. And that was a crazy day. We were in Fostoria at the YMCA, and it was over 600 people.
I don't know, it was a
A
lot.
lot of people. They were in line all day.
Okay, so, and then when we would give them the ballot, there's a little notch off the side and it had to go in. So I would, once Don alerted us at the registration that, hey, people are getting these all messed up, I would make sure, okay, here's your ballot. You gotta put it in the machine this way. And what
And
happened?
also, even on the machine, when you walked up there, there was a picture of it showing you how to put it in there. I mean, it couldn't have been any simpler, and it was just, people were having,
Constant.
yeah, not everybody, but a large number of them
I'd
having
say
trouble.
1 out of 10 maybe.
Yeah,
Was having
yeah.
issues. So another problem with that ballot, when when we would get to the end, people was walking out of the room with the ballot in their hand. They wasn't letting the machine, you gotta feed that to cast your vote.
Some of them had ejected it it was blank. Others had actually had it voted, they casted their votes and then brought it out and they wanted to take it with them. But the ones that were blank had to go back and start over again.
So then
It
we had to
was
send them back, yeah. And then we also had the issue 1, and the general election of '24 was the big right to life issue 1. That was a huge, huge issue that had, I think on the voting machines, they had 3 or 4 pages. So at the end of every page was a next and a more. And next meant, and Don can explain this, he knows the next and more a little more.
Well, the more gave you the rest of the bill, but people seen the next, they'd hit that, well, it took them on ahead to whatever else was on the voting. So then they had to get them back to the page to find out what the whole language was on the issue. So, I mean, it took people a long time to vote.
And it was so confusing that because what it did is it skipped you out of that issue 1. You either could skip it or move on to, the other people on the ballot. And so it was really hard to figure out if you even cast the vote. Let's see. And I think that was, okay, we had approximately 8 voting machines, and we had 2 people that were constantly helping the voters. Anybody that had a focus issue really struggled with all of it. At some point, we would have to stand, actually specifically for the issue 1, would have to stand right beside them and tell them, okay, now you have to do this and you have to do this. And well, we're not supposed to do that. We're there to just take down their information and let them go vote. But we had to actually guide them through.
You're not supposed to look at their screen.
No.
But you almost had to show them
Because
what to do it.
there was people that had to go completely back through it on many times. So anyhow, we've talked to the Board of Elections on different occasions, and Tim had talked about the gold standard, and we've been reminded we have the gold standard in Ohio, and we're really questioning whether we do or not. So I just really would like to confirm that I think paper ballots would avoid all this.
Let's do what's right for our county, our state, and our country. Machines can be hacked. Thanks for listening.
Tim, anything else from you before we?
I think the last thing, I've got some just hard copies for a couple of the high-level things that we talked about, and we have started a petition drive in Ohio. We've not actively gone out trying to find counties, but we did find, miraculously found the petition that was kind of buried, I think, and it's the actual petition to put it for the people to say, do you wish to adopt? We'll have to use the same verbiage that was in the ORC language, but we're going in a county-by-county basis right now, and they're going to sign a petition saying they want it on the ballot this November to be able to vote on it. Do the citizens prefer, basically they're going to be asked a very yes or no question. Do you wish to adopt voting machines, marking devices, and automatic tabulating equipment? That's what will be on the ballot. And if they choose no, we think that there still could be some legal court case have to come up because the statute in Ohio was incorrectly listed to adopt them, but there's no way to unadopt it with the language. So literally we'd have to vote no and possibly let the court decide. But there's 10 counties right now in Ohio that are looking at this, and they're already starting to circulate petitions in the last week here. So just wanted to give you a heads up there that I think it's going to happen in Seneca County too, that they're going to be wanting to start to pass the petitions around for that. But that's what that's about.
Would all counties have to participate, or you just need a total, like 500,000 signatures or something?
No, it's actually,
Does it work county by county?
it's actually 2% of who voted in the
So it's
governor's
just a
race.
2%?
Yeah,
What
so-
is that number?
414,000.
Four something, that is 400,000?
That, it is for the last issue, was the ones coming up, that immunity.
Right.
Anybody in Ohio would need
414,000.
400,
No, this is different. This
Okay, yeah.
is kind of a crazy, we didn't even know it existed, because if you look and try, you can find
well, I obviously haven't heard of it.
right, you
Yeah.
can find a statewide ballot initiative, you can find a municipal, or there's 2 counties in Ohio that are charter counties,
Yeah.
and they have a different thing, but, you know, we thought there was no county-wide petition available. So that leaves it up to each county, and that would be 2% of the people that voted in the last.
Oh, okay.
So I think the numbers, like Monroe County, they only need 99 signatures. And I think Stark County is doing it now, and they're at like 2,700. So I would think Seneca, I might have the number, I've got all the numbers, but I think, maybe it's 600? I don't know, I'm just guessing.
It was 300 and something, I
But-
thought.
300?
I thought
Okay,
you
so-
sent something out, I thought I seen, but maybe I'm wrong.
Okay,
So it's 2%?
Yes.
Of those that voted,
right.
In
of
last
everybody that
governors.
voted in the prior election.
Right, so if 300 and some people vote in Seneca County that they want it on the ballot, then it would go on the ballot, and then it would be a yes or no
That's
vote.
interesting.
Yeah.
Okay. Does anyone up here have any comments?
No, I thank you for coming in and kind of giving us an update. It's,
Okay.
yeah, very good.
All right.
No, interesting information.
Okay.
Yeah, so you have state legislature, right, Senate, and then you have Board of Elections, Secretary of State, and where's the most opposition coming from? Everywhere, nobody wants to touch this, or is it a awareness thing? More awareness you create, what is it?
I think, well, a lot of it, you're spot on with the awareness. You know, there's a lot of money in voting machine lobbyists. There is big
Yeah.
money. You look at what Ohio spent, what the HAVA funds were. The Stark County lawsuit was very interesting. The person on the Board of Voting Machine Examiners was also a member of the Board of Election in that same county, and he was the one pushing for the Dominion voting machines. Not saying there was anything funny about that, but it certainly looks like that
So
should.
the voting machine.
It looks like a conflict of interest
Voting
to me.
machine companies are the biggest lobbyists, because that's who's.
Right.
And we have, since I've been here, I don't know, look in Sandusky County, you've had 2 or 3 different electronic devices to vote
We-
on over the
we-
last several years, right?
We do ES&S, and basically, we do the D200, DS200, I believe, the tabulator.
Right.
That is we do not
And
do
that's- you've
electronic
kept
poll
that
books. We have
for
cut,
years?
we've cut paper poll books with the DS200 tabulator. Sandusky County's never used electronic poll books.
But keep in mind, the tabulator you just spoke, that's the one where they
Yeah,
had the
well, in our fairness to that, and I get your concerns, we do perform the audit, and our audits do match. We've never had any issues and we are very public. Some of these members of this group have came to our board meetings, we explain everything
Right.
to the public, and we've had no issues, and if we did have an issue, our numbers match to a T. We just did an audit of the May election, and it was perfect. So if there was an issue, we would be very concerned about it. We take our role very seriously, and we're proud of what we've done to make sure voting is trustworthy.
It would really need to have a forensic audit done, because, and I won't take any more time on it, but, you know, we dispel that myth to the 99.9% accuracy on the audits, and we feel that the audit will always show correct. We're not saying it won't show correct. We feel that the audit will always match, if you follow what I'm saying. But if you look at the fact that citizens tried to do this on their own time for free, and they refused to let them do that, is very striking to me.
Can I ask a quick question?
Yeah.
Why would the audit always match?
Because it depends on, let's say you're somebody that's trying to adjust votes, let's just say, okay?
So you're accusing the board of trying to adjust
No,
votes?
no, no.
I guess
I'm saying, no.
not following you on that one.
No, what I'm saying is, nobody would see, and when they had the vote manipulation in the courtroom and all these other forensic audits that were done, nobody would know that's going on. Nobody would be aware of that.
But
because-
if the board's final hand tabulation matched the electronic results that were presented to the public, that would never be different?
But do you
The
remember the
audit would always
slide,
match?
do you remember the slide that shows all the different, you know?
Yeah, I.
Right. Okay,
Very
it
familiar.
it depends, you know, when is the audit being pulled? I sat through a recount in Wood County, and I was so confused. At one point, they used a machine printout to match another machine printout. And I asked, why are you doing that? Because that's not an audit. And it was a 10-minute answer, and I couldn't follow it.
If I can just explain something real quick. What we do in Sandusky County, we don't print out the number, they count it, and then they print out the
Right.
number. We are very specific in that, we do not look up ahead of time what the number should be. We count it, and then they print the number, and the number match. I just sat through it a week ago, sat through the whole audit. I watched them count, and then they printed it out after they had the count tabulated, and then they printed out, and it matched. I seen it, I witnessed it with my own,
Yeah.
just sat through it.
I understand.
So what I'm trying to say is, if we count, now I get what, if you counted, if we printed it out beforehand, human nature looks for that count. But we don't print it out till the count is completed, so they have no idea what the count.
But just remember, it goes through multiple steps. You know, it gets uploaded, it gets sent out from the server, it gets received, you know, we don't know at what point they're extracting the number. If something gets manipulated within the machine, and I'm not saying anybody's intentionally doing it, but it's happened in other cases where you can adjust it. So when is that number pulled out to look at the audit? In what part of the process? And you've got like 6 layers where it moves from this to this to this to this. And if you pull out the number to match on step 3, lines up with the total, okay, it would match at that point. But I'm not saying that may be the final number that ends up in the Secretary of State.
If we could, we're gonna, good question, good
Yeah.
dialogue. Commissioner Bussick has a comment, and then we're gonna move on.
Okay.
That's
One other question,
Go
the
ahead.
the voting machines, if they have 2 options, wireless and without, why would we ever get any that is wireless if we're not supposed to have that in our system?
The answer to that has to be that there are some states that allow it, crazily enough, and that's when we first came on this mission.
But I guess my point is then, who's supposed to inspect or know to make sure that we're getting the right ones in our counties?
That's the point.
Bingo.
That's the problem.
That's what we've been working on for 2 years. That's 2 years' worth of work. Again, we're not accusing anybody of cheating and votes being changed to change any, we're not saying that. What we're saying is, we know these are a problem. They found legitimate vote flipping in other states. We have the same machines. How can we be assured? And they won't answer the question.
My head's thinking AI right now.
Yeah,
Just
for sure.
imagine like how crazier this can get. Okay, we'll take one more question, then we'll.
So
Go
just
ahead.
real quick,
Yeah.
yeah, I just want to say, I have a movie that you can watch that's called Let My People Go. Bill has it right now, and if you guys want to watch it, it will go over a lot of this and how they cheat. We've been to the Board of Elections and explained our thoughts on it, just like this here. One thing they say that everything's sealed. Okay, you can put a USB in to get well, that's to get your information out. You can corrupt a USB, right? If you ask a computer person, they'll tell you, you can encrypt that and stick that in there, and that machine will take it. So that's one example that I have, that I'm not no computer person, I just know that can be done. But anyhow, that's,
Well, that's just for what it's worth, you can have all the cybersecurity, everything you want, I mean, Delta Airlines, all the
Right.
people get hacked, something
Right.
can happen,
Right.
especially even if it's wireless or not wireless, so keep doing what you're doing.
One thing, we did early voting and then we worked the polls. They're 2 different machines. I'm not sure why they were using 2 different machines. Do you guys do
By
that?
law, we have to separate the ORI voting. When you go into the Board of Elections and
Okay.
vote ORI, that is separate. And if you look on the election results, and I know Seneca has, because I've looked at Seneca's, I'm kind of a political geek like that. Seneca has, and so does Sandusky, they have a separate thing where you can see how the ORI vote went, which is the people who go into the Board of Elections. Then they have the absentee, which is people who probably send it in by mail. And then at the end, there's a provisional. So we have to keep everything separate. Yes, when you go vote at the Board of Elections, it is stuck into a separate tabulated than what it would be on election day, because it's cut separate. It's tabulated
Yeah,
separate.
yeah, okay.
Okay, we're gonna move on to commissioner reports, if that's okay. With you two, you guys good?
Yep.
Okay, Brent?
Sure, I'll be short though. Several times over the last few days, we spent some time working on the JFS director. I'll let Barb talk more about that. Sunday, Bill and I walked in the Baskin Parade, had a chance to hand out some candy to the kids, and had OSS board meeting yesterday. And then today I had downtown development this morning here in Tiffin, which I sit on that, so some things we talked about, some of the signage stuff at the courthouse that we talked about with that map that they have down there, maybe making some changes to that, plus a bunch of stuff with the parking lots, just generally in Tiffin, so I'll just end with that.
I've heard a lot of good things about you being on the downtown committee. A lot of people are saying things, so good job there representing the commissioners. Commissioner Frank.
Okay, last Friday, Kelly, the dog warden, and,
This is good.
yeah, so we went down to the Northwest Ohio Dog Warden Association meeting down in Lima. They had a presentation from 10 in the morning to 2 o'clock talking about some legislative stuff they're working on. They're seeing more, potential with dog attacks and stuff on that, so they're trying to figure out a way to kind of help, maybe enhance, to protect citizens and stuff on it. They had quite a video, a guy delivered a pizza, and, 3 dogs attacked him while he was just trying to deliver a pizza to the house. The lady was there by herself and couldn't control the dogs and stuff on it, so just, numerous, each county kind of did a presentation. Kelly did one for us, just some different things that's happened throughout the county. So they're working with Representative Miller, and he's working on some legislation to kind of help, enhance things and protect the citizens and stuff on it. So that was I'm glad I went. I learned quite a bit down there, so it was a well-attended meeting, so. Brad alluded to, Sunday was the Baskin Parade, a good turnout for that. It's always good to see it.
Everybody miss me?
Yeah, that's, a lot of people are like, where's Tony at? We didn't get candy on our porch, so. So, yeah, so.
You had extra candy.
Yeah, right, so. Then Tuesday had board of revision, kind of working through that process. Wasn't real long and stuff on that. And then Wednesday, we had our solid waste meeting, and brings us up to today. And this morning I was on with, actually with WTTF with Teresa Sullivan, giving some updates from the museum. So a lot of good things happen in the museum. If you guys haven't been down there, they're open noon to 5 Monday through Saturday. So swing in and check out things in our museum. So
Thanks. So on the dog warden issue, I'm to see Mr. Brian Ball.
You were talking about dogs in public places and et cetera. This is more about dog bites and just, as commissioners, we get calls when there's a dog bite and, what happens. And so so Commissioner Franker wanted to dig deeper on this. So I think that's good for everyone. But in all the years you've been coming here, have they ever talked about dog bites?
No.
Yeah, so I think this is a good thing that I've never, in 6 years, I don't remember talking about. That's an issue. We have a dog warden, we have a county, people have to control their dogs. He brought up dogs doing business in the middle of the aisle at Walmart and nobody doing anything. That's a whole nother topic. But, so I appreciate you doing that and keep us informed. And Kelly too for coming to us, asking for help, and so we're getting involved. Yeah, I think it's a good thing. And then on top of everything that was said, we had another EMS staff meeting for the entire staff here, and I think just to report out, it was a good meeting. You know, there's always issues that come up and ways we get better, and so that's going pretty well. We'll go to administrator report. Barb?
So I've got a couple of things. I have some financial information first off. Revenue collected in the month of May was just over $2.3 million. We are pretty much on target with collection for the year as to what was certified. And then our expenses for the month of May, just over $2 million. That's about 45% of what was budgeted for the year. So it's a little high for the 5 months because the target should be just under 42%. So, I mean, we're trying to keep those costs under control. So I'll keep an eye on that, and if it continues to creep up more and more,
I think we talked about it. So after the 4th of July when we meet, can you give us a 6-month
Yep.
update? And then see if this question's
Yep.
unreasonable or reasonable. So we have our budget, then how much, where are we at exactly? So I'm hoping we're over budget a little bit in revenue, and we're always over budget a little bit in expenses. We approve things throughout
Yep.
the year that come up, so maybe give us that picture.
Yep.
And then for the citizens, we then begin getting serious about next year's budget. So those need to be in by, do you have a
Those are
date yet?
generally done the end of August, beginning of September.
August, September.
And then the process for us starts to review all of those general fund lines and.
So you know, once July flies by, fair and everything, I mean,
Yeah.
we're gonna be into things.
Yeah.
So I think it'd be good to give us and the public an update through June. Back to you. Somehow I lost my voice. I didn't even talk.
On that note of financial information, just so that you're aware, we did get notification that the governor has announced 2025 expanded the sales tax holiday. That will be occurring August 1st through August 14th. So I believe last year it was 10 days, and I believe this is now 14 days. So, and the state is always trying to, make sure that they reimburse themselves in the counties. So for any of the revenue that's been foregone during this holiday, it took almost, I think it was November before we got our money the last time. So,
Good for the citizens, maybe not so good for the commissioner's budget.
yeah,
You know,
so.
will we get all that money back that's not paid?
Just so you're aware of that, so when we do collection, when we get the collection for August sales tax, which would actually be collected
October.
in October, it'll be lower.
And I think there's some
Yeah.
exemptions on that sales tax holiday.
Yeah.
Like vehicles and all that.
Yes, it's waived for, it's good for purchases in-store or online for items up to $500, but excludes motor vehicles, watercraft, outboard motors, alcohol, tobacco, vape products, and other items containing marijuana.
So it's not, you're right, it's not everything.
So it's not
Did
everything.
they limit it since the last one?
Last year was the first year they implemented that $500, because before it was certain items,
Yeah.
school supplies,
Kind of where they hammer you in.
childcare
First started.
products,
Yeah.
and now it's just a flat $500 limit, excluding, motor vehicles and all the other lists that I gave, so.
That makes it hard for like your stores to, you don't charge tax on this, but
But
then
you-
you
yeah.
make a limit on it and stuff, kind of.
Yeah, so I'm sure there was a lot of mistakes made in prior years with the limited items. Then I
Especially if it's done online. I'm sure there's all kinds of mistakes.
I will let you know that the sheriff's office received a grant of just under $125,000 for some security enhancements from the governor. They're gonna do some cameras and some door locking systems out at the jail for security
Good.
updates.
And match, or we good?
No, I don't believe there's any
Yeah.
match for this. I think it's just a straight.
Thank you, Sheriff, for
Great job.
applying.
And then, as Brett said earlier, we're still working on the JFS director. We had second interviews on Monday afternoon. We are in the process of making a decision, and getting that package together to present to our candidate that we would like to see in that position. And then the last thing I have is meeting change for June. There will be no meeting on Thursday, June 19th, because it is a federal holiday. County offices are closed. That meeting has been moved to Tuesday, June 17th at 2 p.m. So it's a different date, different time. So I just want to make sure that everybody's aware of that. And also, I'm not sure if you saw the email or not, but there was a email sent out from EMA for the emergency operations functional exercise that will take place on Tuesday morning at the public safety building.
Yeah, 9 o'clock.
It's at 9 o'clock, yeah.
Next Tuesday.
Next Tuesday.
Is that why it's at 2? On the 7th, why is it at 2? We have
On the
stuff in morning.
17th, we have some other things going on, so we can't do a 10 o'clock
good.
meeting. We rearranged the schedule a little bit, so,
No problem.
but,
So the meeting's 2 o'clock.
2 o'clock on the 17th of June, our normal board meeting. That's all I have, gentlemen.
I have two things on the 18th. We have a event in Fostoria in the morning, and then EMS meeting at night.
Oh, are they still having their EMS
Thought we were
meeting?
closed.
Well, the county is. I mean, joint ambulance district. And other people don't close, so.
Any old business? Anybody? Any old business? Okay, we'll go to new business, supplemental appropriations.
Okay. I have 3 for general fund. The first one is GED supplies in the amount of $2,000. The second is GED equipment for $1,000. And the third is GED contract services for $15,000. This is money that was received through a contract with the Fostoria Learning Center. So they've received that money, now they're asking to appropriate it so that they can buy supplies and a computer, and then pay instructors, correct.
Yeah, it's a good thing.
And then the capital projects fund for the jail, $3,902. This is for a change order for the sheriff's office for the virtual attorney visitation that is being constructed out there. And then the other for the capital projects fund is the Northwest EMS station for $16,518.35. This is for the generator that will go out for Bettsville. We do have a majority of that money. I believe the total was just over $47,000 for that generator to be placed out there. Some of that money is already in place, so we just need the additional. And then the last I have is the sewer district for contract services of $5,000. This is for Honey Creek, for them to have contract services.
So moved to accept the supplemental appropriations.
Second.
Okay, we have a first and a second, little discussion. Any discussion from your end? So, I don't know what happened, my voice. So the EMS stations, can we call this number 3?
Yes.
300? Is that how you're gonna?
It's
call it?
Station 3.
Yeah.
Bettsville is Station 3.
Station 3.
But yes, it's number 3 in the line of getting them around too, so.
So on the sub-account, we just have capital, do we have it?
It's listed as the Northwest Station.
That's right, yeah.
That's how we know, that we did them by
That's how
location
you
because we
list.
didn't know how they were gonna be numbered.
Yeah. So internally, just for accounting,
Mhm.
it's this way.
Yes.
But formally, it's number 3.
Yes.
Yeah, and this is the Bethville station. We're probably, Mayor Green said, we're probably gonna come in a little bit higher than 300,000 all in, probably. We headed that direction. We had a $150,000 grant to offset that. It was gonna be a really nice facility in Bethville, $1 a year lease with the village. they're gonna mow it, plow the snow. So I think this is really coming together nicely. We're down to the end.
Yep. They've actually moved in out there. We've gotten the
Yeah.
occupancy, and they are working towards getting the Medicaid, Medicare reimbursement
Yeah.
piece of it started.
Do you have a thought before we vote?
They, kind of off the side,
Yeah.
there's doing a ribbon cutting at the one station two coming up, right?
Yeah, on the 28th, there'll be Station 5,
Station 5, which is New Riggle.
which is New River and County Road 6. That'll be at 10 in the morning on the 28th. More to come there. Okay, good. Just clarification, because we have really 5 EMS locations counting the fairgrounds.
Correct.
And there's stuff going on all the time. Okay, we have first and second. Roll call?
Commissioner Bustecker,
Yes.
Commissioner Franker,
Yes.
Commissioner Paradiso,
Yes. Sub-apps approved. On to resolutions.
Resolution approval of projects and amounts for the CDBG program year 2025 Community Development Program, and authorizing the current president of the Board of Seneca County Commissioners to sign the application and related documents to be submitted for the county program year 2025 Community Development Block Grant Program.
Make the motion.
I'll second the motion.
Any discussion? No?
I can let you know, I guess, the projects that we're approving. The first project is for the city of Fostoria, and it's an installation of ADA compliant restrooms at the municipal building. And then we also partner with this city of Fostoria United and the United Way over there to provide homeless prevention and homeless outreach and education.
Went to the meeting this morning.
Okay, good.
Commissioner Bustecker,
Yes.
Commissioner Franker,
Yes.
Commissioner Paradiso,
Yes. Glad that's behind us.
Resolution approval of the community development implementation strategy.
So moved to accept the resolution?
I'll second that. Tony, a little discussion?
This goes along with the CDBG grant all entirely, so
Yep,
just
it's part of it.
basically the same thing. Yep.
Okay, anything else? Roll call?
Commissioner Bustecker,
Yes.
Commissioner Franker,
Yes.
Commissioner Paradiso,
Yes.
Resolution authorizing the Seneca County Board of Commissioners to enter into an agreement or contract with American Driving School LLC for driver's education services on behalf of the Seneca County Department of Job and Family Services.
I'll make the motion.
I'll second.
Okay, we have first and second. Roll call?
Commissioner Bustecker,
Yes.
Commissioner Franker,
Yes.
Commissioner Paradiso,
Yes.
Resolution authorizing the Seneca County Board of Commissioners to enter into an agreement contract with Children's Rights Collaborative of Northwest Ohio for supervised visitation services on behalf of the Seneca County Department of Job and Family Services.
So move.
Second, Tony?
There you go.
Any discussion? Okay, roll call?
Commissioner Bustecker,
Yes.
Commissioner Franker,
Yes.
Commissioner Paradiso,
Yes.
Resolution authorizing the Seneca County Board of Commissioners to enter into an agreement contract with the City of Sandusky for non-emergency transportation services on behalf of the Seneca County Department of Job and Family Services.
So moved.
Second.
Any discussion?
What's this?
I'm a little
pertain-
confused
Yeah,
on it.
Okay, good, thank you, because that,
Okay.
yeah.
And I haven't had a chance to read through it, so I'm gonna take a minute here to
Okay.
get the information for you guys. Sorry.
Sort of transportation.
Yeah, and I'm not sure,
We can pull it, put
the
it on next week if
city
we
of
want to.
Sandusky, I'm not sure I understand.
Can we pull it, put it on next week? Or does it need to be acted on? What do you
I'd
think?
rather just
What do
get a
you
little more
wanna do?
details on before I pass it out.
Yeah, me
Let's
too.
do it.
Yeah.
I think
That's
this
fine.
feels weird. Let's pull it.
Yeah.
I rescind
on
a
next week.
motion and, who would rescind a motion?
Yeah, we have first and a second, so we can
You should,
rescind
yeah,
that.
rescind the motion.
Table, we're gonna pull this out, put it on next week. And if you get that to us in advance, that'd be great.
Sure.
Okay? Next?
Excuse me. Resolution authorizing the Seneca County Board of Commissioners to enter into a contract with E3RX LLC for pharmacy consulting services on behalf of the Seneca County Department of Job and Family Services.
Make the motion.
I'll second the motion.
Roll call.
Commissioner Bustecker?
Yes.
Commissioner Franker?
Yes.
Commissioner Paradiso?
Yes.
Resolution authorizing the Seneca County Board of Commissioners to enter into an agreement contract with BKH Incorporated, doing business as Master and Sylvania Driving School for driver's education services on behalf of the Seneca County Department of Job and Family Services.
So move.
I'll second.
Any discussion?
So do they use two different driving sources? I assume?
It's probably based on the amount of people that need to use the
I
driving.
figured as much.
Yeah, so they probably have to have two separate to be able to accommodate everyone.
Yep.
Any other discussion? You good? Okay, roll call.
Commissioner Bustecker?
Yes.
Commissioner Franker?
Yes.
Commissioner Paradiso?
Yes.
Resolution authorizing the Seneca County Board of Commissioners to enter into an agreement contract with John G. Clemenshaw Incorporated for appraisal services on behalf of the Seneca County Auditor.
So move.
Second.
Okay. Roll call.
Commissioner Bustecker?
Yes.
Commissioner Franker?
Yes.
Commissioner Paradiso?
Yes.
Resolution authorizing the Seneca County Board of Commissioners to accept the bid for the 2025 chip seal project.
So move.
Second. I'll take it. Engineer, right?
Yep.
Okay, roll call.
Commissioner Bustecker?
Yes.
Commissioner Franker?
Yes.
Commissioner Paradiso?
Yes.
The last one I have is a resolution establishing the opioid remediation grant fund on behalf of the Seneca County Sheriff.
Make the motion.
I'll second.
This is this one?
Yeah, this is a new fund.
Yeah. Okay.
It's
so
to
he's got a
improve outcomes of substance addicted inmates in Ohio's jail, and they will use the money for case management services and testing kits.
Okay. I'm good. Roll call?
Commissioner Bustecker?
Yes.
Commissioner Franker?
Yes.
Commissioner Paradiso?
Yes.
Yes.
That's all I have.
Okay. So anything else?
From the members of the board. We good?
I'm good.
Okay, April. So we have April Hall here. We're in public comment at this point, and we talked before the meeting, so we'll start with you.
Okay.
Thanks for waiting patiently.
Okay.
Go ahead. Introduce yourself, please, and take it from there.
Okay. My name's April Hall, residing at 1820 West County Road 61. I come to you today in regards to the closure of County Road 31 and the rerouting of Township Road 71. Let me tell you my story. I've been a resident of Seneca County my entire life. I've invested myself by volunteering, heading up fundraisers, being a volunteer, and I'm on the school board for Old Fort. What I'm trying to say with this is that I have invested myself into this community, and with this investment, I feel like the closing of County Road 31 in Liberty Township is taking a piece of our community away. And what do I mean by that? Over the last few years, Bettsville has lost the park, a restaurant, ice cream shop, and a bar. What else will be next? We don't have much left of the little village and the township anymore. I want to say that I am by far not against expanding of businesses. I want to see our county thrive and bring new opportunities to its residents. However, there are pros and cons we need to look at for the closing of County Road 31. Pros, more business for Carmoose and those they service, and an opportunity for continued business for 20 to 25 more years. Cons, the tearing out of a road we can never get back, a huge hole in our township when and if they would decide to close shop, more impact on local wells and water supply to the village potentially, a township road that has been rerouted and expanded, which means more road to take care of with our taxpayer money if Carmoose would leave. The closure could have an impact on village streets, altering routes for fire and EMS school routes, the post office, water supply, and just plain inconvenience for drivers. Not to mention the impact of blasting and health risks associated with the dust particles in the air. Although we can't do anything about the expansion and blasting due to our zoning regulations, we need to look at the long term. Our residents, some of them being 5+ generations, are here to stay. They're local, they're vested, they believe in this area, and they're elected officials. Have you talked to those people yet? All I'm asking is that you take a hard look at this closing. If we close County Road 31 and reroute Township Road 71, what else will Carmoose or others ask for? Who will be the one to determine if we can change roadways for one person but not the other? I have heard that in Ohio, no county road has ever been closed for something like this before. Why do we need to set the standard? Did you ask them to explore all their options? I did, and they told me they would not unless this option A fails. Don't most people have a plan B just in case? What about going over or under the road? This is an option and could keep the road open for the future of whatever may happen there. It's the same for Carmoose pleading it is not safe on County Road 31 now. When they purchased the ground, they knew that there was a busy road there. They did their own road study to determine traffic flow, and if it was anything like ODOT's, then they could see that County Road 31 is a fairly well-traveled road. So if I was a business, I would know that I need to have a safety plan in place that will work. And I don't think it's fair using scare tactics to our residents with this. It's been my understanding that Carmoose has been having many meetings with commissioners, township, village, and who knows who else. Good for them to gather information. But the real question for you, commissioners, is have you listened and gathered your information from all parties? You know the citizens of your county, your voters, because I'm listening and there seems to be some discrepancies in who really supports the closure. And this really disappoints me that the manipulating seems to be taking place. The county over the years has allowed the landfill to continue to take over our area. Now you are allowing Carmoose to entertain the idea of closing down a road. Who will be next in asking for something? All I ask is that you please consider everyone when you give this blessing to this situation. Thank you.
Thank you. Yep, good. Anybody else? Okay, so we're gonna yield to Mr. Breidenbach, right? Just because he's.
My name's Tom Breidenbach. Have you got a bill for any of the work they done on Court Street on your side, on the side of the courthouse? Did you get a bill for any of that?
Yeah, we did.
Other than your flagstone? Not the flagstone?
That's right.
No.
Nothing we.
Just that bill, yeah.
Just the flagstone?
And that was
28,000.
$28,000.
Okay, well,
Fixing that wall.
this has nothing to do with you guys now, but why are we putting a sign up over Court Street? We gonna do that in every city street now?
Yeah, I don't know, that's a.
What the hell's
yeah.
so great about Court Street? It's an alley. Thank you.
I can respond to some of that.
Well, I can say you're on downtown,
Because
Brent.
being on downtown development, the idea is they want to be able to use that as a space for, like for the food trucks and whatnot. I'm not agreeing or disagreeing with spending money.
Thanks, Brett.
I'm just telling you in the situation, what their goal is to try to have, it seems to be in a lot of these towns, trying to bring people downtown, have a nice space that you try to get people to come to. And it is gonna look nice what their plan is. The dollars and who's paying for that, it's not coming from us directly. There's fundraising and stuff that's to support that sign.
There's no stores on Court Street.
I don't disagree.
Thank you.
I have nothing to add. Good question. Dwight.
First off, I'd like to thank the commissioners for allowing Tim and Don and Brenda to speak today on that very important issue. I hope you got a lot out of that. Our group, Community of Patriots, has taken on this very same issue about the same time. We have tried to work with our Board of Elections in this county, and they are not very receptive. But I would like to say that on the vulnerabilities of the electronic systems, it's not a question of if it'll happen, it's a question of when it'll happen, because eventually somebody will want to use it for bad purposes, and they will organize, and when they'll have to do it through programming, and it won't be your local kid in the basement that's going to do it and change the voting of the national election or the state election, even the county. It's going to be somebody who's organized, can get into the programming, and they're not going to program it so that the tests show the vulnerabilities. They're going to program it so when these checks and balances are done, they come back okay. But as, like, I think it was Tim said, as it goes down that system, they'll have the vulnerability programmed in. So anyhow, I wanted to thank you all again very much for allowing him to have the time to speak on this subject.
Any other public comment?
I do want to have follow-up.
Yeah.
Thank you for coming in April. So the process will be is when they get to that point, we'll have public hearing and stuff on that. So we will definitely get everybody's input before that decision is made on that. So that's.
So, I started talking before you did. You finish?
Yeah, I'm glad.
Okay, I'm sorry. Yeah, my head was thinking quick. So, this was brought to my attention 4 years ago, I think. I have a file. This was before they had their blasting permit and all the things that have been going on. I threw it in the filing cabinet, didn't look at it. Commissioner Busdecker's been active. I met with him one time. Last Friday, I went out there. Spent about an hour with them. At some point, that's going to come to us. So, to your point, I mean, like I always do, we'll get informed before I make a decision, which will include a lot of the things you said. Okay, so, and you know, with regards to the landfill, I think you said that we allowed the landfill to do something. I mean,
No,
I think that's what you said. Did you
Just
say that?
the expansion of it over the years. There's no zoning. I mean, there's
Yeah,
like
so that
things in
wasn't-
place that have
So
happened.
so that's were, so as far as the commissioners go, I mean, we're on the record of, we were opposed to expansion and all that. Now, regarding the zoning, and that's a good point, okay? The zoning was put on the ballot, and it failed. I have a hard time understanding that. At the township level. Yeah, how can you live in Loudon Township and come in and complain all the time about the landfill and then vote no for zoning? I have no comprehension, that's really hard for me to understand. But that doesn't mean I'm not fighting for the county.
And I
Okay,
have
but-
seen
but,
you guys,
you know,
and we all, I mean,
So,
I appreciate that.
I mean, you,
I think her point was towards the road. If you start, where do we start and stop once you start vacating thorough county roads and stuff on it? It's kind of the point that, yeah.
okay, well,
That's.
Avoiding fighting, you know, you're having, you know, everybody's having this landfill issue's been an
Yeah.
issue, and then we get one that closes one road, and then another one, well, you did it for them, so then the next thing you know, we've got all these
yeah,
vacancy
so we'll talk
permits.
more all about this, so I'm glad you came, and you're welcome to come anytime, so is anybody else. So thank you. Any thoughts before you walk out? We good? I'm good. Okay, next meeting will be Thursday, the 12th at 10 a.m., same place. Meeting adjourned. Thanks.